This is Ultimate Soccer with Soccer Steve.
Hey, how you doing?
Good, mate. How you doing, fella?
Good. Yeah,
Been
not bad.
Been a long time.
It has. Yeah, how you doing?
Very good, very good. I tell you what, it started in 2004 between me and you, and that was you came out of the San Jose and you went into the Canada game, and it was qualifying at the time. And I tell you what, I've had a few coaches over the years that I touched base with, and I got to say, before we get off the ground, you treated me royally, Frank, all the way through, whether it was Canada, whether it was San Jose, whether it was LA, and now Monterey Bay FC. We're going to touch on all of them, but thank you for being the star that you are, sir, because not everybody's a Frank Yallop in the world.
Well, I appreciate that. Thanks, Steve.
No, obviously. Now, talking about...
We go way back.
Yeah, mate. Yeah, I mean, when you think about it, that's 18 years ago. It's quite some time, and so much has happened in the game as well. Not just tactics, but the whole philosophy of football is really changing every day.
Yes. Yeah, it really is. Yeah, I think it's going into a good future for the game. You know, it's played the right way. Exciting. I mean, just finished watching the Man City game. It's like, talk about a machine. And with that Premier League and all the top leagues in the league in the world now, I mean, super talented players, great to watch and very exciting.
Talking about yourself, though, walking through all these major clubs, I mean, from San Jose all the way to Monterey and LA Galaxy in between and Canada in between. I mean, it's quite a compact career that you've had. And I'm not saying that you're stopping anytime soon either, but what brings you most joy out of all the time, apart from Monterey? Let's cut Monterey out of the question because that comes later. But what was the toughest or what was the easiest job that you had looking back in time?
It's a great question. I mean, I think the toughest job was when I first took San Jose over. I'd never been a head coach. So that was kind of daunting, scary, whatever you want to call it. But I felt super comfortable probably after about 8 weeks of that job where once we got a squad organized or, picked the players that I wanted, they really believed in what we were doing or what I was doing. And I think that was a big difference. And I think that really helped me be confident as being a coach. And obviously winning helps. But it gives you a good yardstick to start with. And it was a great start. And I really enjoyed that. And obviously going back to San Jose was another rebuild. I've done a few rebuilds in my career.
Yeah, so, no doubt. Eh?
Or startups, however you want to call it. But yeah, that one in San Jose in 2008, I felt proud of that because we got to win the Supporters' Shield within 5 years. Very unlucky not to probably win an MLS Cup again.
Yeah.
But that's playoffs. But no, just really proud of the San Jose days were super good for me.
Now, moving on time, you took the Canada job over. It was 2004 and straight into qualifying. And it wasn't really the grades of qualifying, but that wasn't down to you. That was down to the talent that we had at the time with the national team. Nowadays, there's an immense amount of talent. But how tough was that to actually coach that team and keep them moving in the right direction?
Yeah, it's a tough one because to be honest, I don't regret anything because you can't regret it. But I think leaving San Jose to take the Canadian national team job probably was premature on my behalf. I've only been three years a head coach, but I felt that I probably wouldn't get another chance to coach Canada, and I played for them, and really, proud of that. All my family's in Canada, like the immediate family. So, yeah, it was one of those jobs I just wanted to take, and I was very excited about. I really felt that if you look at the record and the way we played, I think we had like 19 odd games. And towards the end of it, we started to kind of get ourselves together. We won a couple of qualifying games. We were already out of qualifying itself, but there were some qualifying games. I think we were away at Guatemala or one of those, and we won 2-1. And I felt the signs were good. Talent-wise, obviously, we had a great bunch of guys that did their best, but most of them played out of the country. And most of them had a really tough, any kind of coming back to play for Canada was always a tough, slog, midweek games, flying from Germany, flying from England and all that stuff. So not making excuses. I really enjoyed my time with Canada, but it wasn't really set up to do what it's doing now. What they're doing right now, they're doing a great job of putting the national team first, which they always should do. And I feel that you're seeing the difference. I think the biggest difference in my eyes is the MLS coming to Canada, and between Vancouver, Montreal, and Toronto, producing some great players in their academies, in their dreams of playing at the higher level, obviously as a kid. And I think the new Canadian League, professional league, has really again lifted players that look up to the cities that they play in and want to be a professional soccer player. And right away you got their attention. And I think that's the difference.
Absolutely. I mean, when you touched on a great point there, like back in the day when we first met, there was no CPL, Canadian Premier League. And at the same time, there was no MLS in Canada. And those three teams, I remember saying back in 1995 that if we could ever get a Canadian league off the ground or get our Canadian players into the MLS, that would be the way forward to then enhance a better national team. How much would you like to coach the national team of today if you hadn't have coached before? What would you say to that one? I come to you, I say, Frank, I've got a job for you. I want to move the next guy along, and you're the guy I need. And you've got he played 52 times for the national team as well.
Yeah.
What would you say if someone offered you the job now?
Well, I mean, obviously I'm under contract here, but my big thing is just the talent pool is unbelievable and really stands out. To win the CONCACAF table, I don't care who you are, that's very, very difficult against obviously the two powerhouses in Mexico and the States. But Canada, to win that and play some great football, and it wasn't lucky. I'd love to, obviously, at some point, if they said to me, come back and coach at some point, I'd love to. But, you obviously, I'm in a fun job I'm really enjoying. We've got a nice little stadium and a club down here I'm trying to build. So, but, hypothetically, it'll be a good job because of the talent pool and the resources, We used to fly coach in our day back for games, and now I'm sure they're getting first class and they're getting taken care of, all the stuff that goes along with that. And I think that's been correct and it's shown. And if you look at all the things, if you do them away from the field, they always show up on the field. And it's the reason why, the Canadian players and Canada in the men's division is doing very well. And I think that's important.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Staying with Monterey Bay FC, obviously you're building a club there. I've looked at the numbers and I've seen where it is, and you're doing very well so far in the league, sitting 5th in the division at the moment, and you've got the Riverhounds coming up next at Cardinale or Cardinal Stadium, whichever way you want to say it. I think it's Cardinale. Yeah. It's got a lovely ring to it. And you get a great crowd as well in there as well. I mean, when you talk about building a club, you are building a club, and your regular attendance is around about 3,600, which is better than most. And in the USL, that's a very healthy statistic. And I mean, you look at where I am in Alberta. I'm teamed now with Cavalry FC. I do my media work with Cavalry FC in the Canadian Premier League. And we're on par with you guys. And let's face it, Cavalry FC's 5 years old. You're now coming into 2 to 3 years. So I see the signs for Monterey Bay FC, and I can understand why you wouldn't want to leave it because – let's put it this way, simple terms, it's your baby and you're building something and you're grounding it. And when you look on the outside looking in, it's a massive job that not only yourself have done, but the whole club moving in the right direction. What is the actual future behind Monterey Bay FC and where do you want to take it?
Well, I've always said I want it to be one of the best little clubs in the country at this level. And I think we're getting on the way to that. We want to get to, we've got 5,500 seats. We want to get to selling out the stadium in home games every time we play. That will be obviously optimal, so that's what we're aiming for. Never easy because you have midweek games, you have different things, but we've got a really good fan base. I think that we've had a couple of games recently, we've had them, but we played against the Earthquakes, beat them in the US Open Cup, which is a massive scalp obviously with my old team, and then we have LAFC coming next Tuesday night. So I think that will put us on the map, just with people that have not heard about us in this area. And I think that's important because not everybody, checks social media. Not everyone sees billboards. They're all doing their own thing, and it's just getting the awareness. I think once the people get aware and they come to the matches, we've retained our fans. It's not like it's dwindling. It's starting a bit boring. I think me, Steve. Every team I have, I want to go forward. I want to attack.
Absolutely,
entertain, and I think that's really proven in the fans that come out. I think that we're growing really well, and to get 3,600, like you say, to 4,000 regularly every game is tough in any league, and I think we're doing a great job of that. I think that the awareness is getting better and better, and then we're just really happy and proud of what I've done so far.
Take a second on this one, but what's your biggest thrill ever as a coach throughout the career? If there's one thing that stands out, what would it be?
Coaching?
Yep, coaching.
I think the first time at San Jose, like going from first to worst, worst to first, was unbelievable. You know, worst team in the league, laughing stock, won 4 games or 5 games a year before, in a 34 game season.
Yeah.
You can imagine. So I feel really proud of that building, the team I built there, and I think that if you look at it, it kind of stands out a little bit that that's not been really done very often. And
No.
then and we got the Supporters Shield, I think, or close to it the next year, and then won it again. And so that 3 game spell, the 3 year spell was pretty special. And I think that you know, it's going to go down in history, obviously, with that what you know, not I did, but what we did in those 3 years, and that was super enjoyable. I had a great squad, but I go back to the '08 team. The '08 me rejoining San Jose. The 2012 season was just epic and fun, and we outscored everybody in the league. 72 goals, I think, was in 34 games. Chris Wondolowski, he broke the scoring record actually that year, and he broke the record of Roy Lassiter in '96, and I played with Roy at Tampa, so I was involved with Roy. I didn't pass him at ball very much, but but I was involved in Lassiter getting the scoring title, and then Wando breaking it by coaching him. So it was pretty cool.
Nice. Now, at the opposite of the spectrum, there's always a low point that never seems to leave the back of your mind. If there's a low point in the career as coaching, what would that be?
That's a great question. I would think I've never been fired. The only time I've been fired, well, I've been fired once, was in Chicago.
Right.
So that would probably be the worst point of, like, you know, why am I getting let go? You start to doubt yourself. But I felt that I was on something. I told the owner it was going to take 3 years, and I think it was 18 months in. He decided it wasn't going to be 3 years. So that's okay. You know, you live and die by all your decisions. And I felt we were starting to grow something in Chicago. Had a bunch of injuries at maybe the wrong time. Lost a few games, important games at you know, time when maybe the owner's looking at it and not sure. But it is what it is. I've bounced back from that, and I feel really proud of all the stuff I've done, you know, beyond that, you know, building Phoenix Rising. I'm looking down at your thing here. I've got a lot of stuff I've, you know, played at and worked at. Fresno was another build.
Yeah.
By year 2, we were doing really well. I think we're third in the conference and did a great job there. So, and then now coming to Monterey, we're just starting to sort of pick up where I felt I left off in Fresno, with a good team, fun to watch, and all those things. So, yeah, I'd say Chicago was a low point.
Now, you touched on it. You only were released once from any other club, so you've been a success throughout the coaching career. But in those days, in those weeks that you're out of the coaching situation, so you're in between jobs, firstly, how does it feel? And secondly, is it you that pursues the next job, or is it a case of the club comes looking for Frank Yallop?
A bit of both, actually, because I went from Chicago to Phoenix, and they were looking for they wanted to kind of get themselves on the map, and they were called Arizona United at the time. And they were sort of bouncing names around and candidates for that job. And my agent heard about it, and they put my name in. They said, let's talk. So I think they wanted to sort of, not a high-profile coach, but they did, and a name. And we talked about the project, and I said, you know, I'm probably good for about 18 months, 2 years max, because I've just moved my family back to California in the San Jose area. And I've not promised, but we decided I would go out and get jobs from that spot, or from that home, you know, that home,
right,
that wasn't too far away. So the Phoenix was good. I could get a bunch of flights back. You know, my family could come up visit me. It wasn't far. So I decided to take that project, and I'm really proud of what, you know, we accomplished there, building a new stadium. If you look at Phoenix Rising, one of the flagship teams really in the USL. So that was really an enjoyable job, that one. And then obviously getting closer to home was Fresno. You know, it's only 2.5 hours away. So the owner of Fresno, the owner who bought the team, asked me to be the general manager and sort of sporting director of that. So I did that for about 2.5 years. And then they moved the team to Monterey, California, where the main owner lives, Ray Bashoff. He lives and works around here. So it was a great fit to get me to get back home. I'm an hour away from my house. We're still going to hopefully transition down at some point.
Right.
Me and my wife, Karen, who works with me actually as a team administrator. And hopefully we can get, you know, I mean, we're empty nesters, so we can move down. And so we're planning on doing that in the off season. But it's been a fun project. Been really good. You'll have to come visit us because you're not too far away. So
I'd love to. I'd love to.
you're more than welcome to do that. And
Nice.
but I think we're one of the like it's a USL club. It's it's 5,500 seat stadium. We're not trying to outspend anybody, but just our budget's what it is. But we do well with it, and I think that's the big thing for me is working, getting the best out of what you have, and we do that. We work hard as a technical staff, and we're really enjoying our time here. And it's the players have been a joy to work with, and they're really turned on and tuned in with the community and doing well for us.
Now, talking about player acquisition for Monterey Bay, where do you actually acquire the players from? Is it just within the US, or is it Canada? Is it Mexico? Where do you draw most of the players, or is it just worldwide talent?
I suppose mainly from the league. So at least you get a yardstick of what the players capable of in the league. They know travel, they know living conditions in the USL. They know sort of salaries, so it's easy to just get the USL guys. But if you think about it, this time, 18 months ago, I'm talking to players that have been released by their clubs, not wanted, not sure about what we're doing because we're the unknown. We had no stadium, no training room, no housing, nothing. And I'm trying to recruit players, and they're looking at me and going, well, where am I living? We're not sure yet. So that was tough, but you have to get a team together because you're playing in, a couple of months. So not that you get players that that are maybe not going to make it after the first year, but I knew some of them wouldn't. But I kept the core of the team, probably 15 players, I think, from year one to this year. And I've noticed a big difference from day one when they start training. They have continuity, they have familiarity, they like each other. And then I've added a few players to that, and we're starting to sort of roll a little bit. So, yeah, it's been a fun ride so far. We can keep it going.
You're in a fantastic job. I can feel and I can see you're loving what you're doing, and you're doing it with pride and are doing it with ability as well. Do you think that this possibly is a big chapter whereby you're going to be with Monterey Bay FC for a lot of years to come? Because I can see you being in this job till you finish your coaching career, because I think you've spelled it out. You're in a great place, beautiful part of the world. You're building something again, which you've done throughout your career. You're a builder. You're absolutely the grandfather of football, building. Do you think this might be a real long chapter with Monterey Bay, maybe 5 to 10 years, possibly? You never know. But what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I just go until I'm maybe not enjoying it anymore. I'm really enjoying it right now, though.
Right.
That's the thing. You gotta go to work and look forward to seeing the guys. There's nothing worse than going on. I've never done it, but going in and going, I don't really want to deal with this, deal with that, whatever it is. Mm-hmm. I enjoy going in, and I enjoy. It's great to be back on the field. That's where I belong. So the coaching side of it, I had to spell out with Fresno. Where I did more the managerial stuff, and I obviously got the players in, but I wasn't coaching them and getting the best out of them. So I think that's my best trait. Who knows? Yeah, I mean, it's a great part of the world. My family's local here, so for us to we're not going to up and move most probably, but we're hoping this will be long term and just see how far we can take it.
Now, a couple of quick ones just to slowly end out. Who is the best player you've ever had the privilege to coach throughout all the years?
Jeez.
Tough question.
Really tough. Yeah. I'll say the most exciting player, and his fellow Canadian, is Dwayne De Rosario.
Oh, yeah.
I just love the way he played. It's free spirit. He could do everything. Finish with both feet, dribble, clean, really good soccer player. And I think he's underrated in MLS. Sort of people talk about MLS greats. He was one of them.
Absolutely.
Obviously, Landon Donovan was, one of the best players that I would say he's the best player that the States have ever produced. Mm-hmm. And having coached him, I saw it every day. And wonderful player, but also a really good person and cared about his teammates and stuff like that. Same with Dwayne. That's what I look at as well. But talk about super talented. And now he's jumped into the coaching. He's at San Diego in my league, so I see him twice a year, which is great to see, and all that stuff. I'm trying to think who else.
Does he ever call you for some advice?
We talked a little bit when he first started, because he was starting up and he kept saying, contract, length of contract, what should we do? So we chatted before he started to recruit players when he was at San Diego, and
Right.
now he's actually gone back up. He's gone upstairs to be like an overseer or the general manager rather than being the on-field coach. But I helped him. I didn't help him. Sorry. We chatted about how to go about talking to clubs, talking to agents, blah blah blah, all that stuff. So yeah, it was enjoyable. But I had a good team in 2001 and 3. I mean, Jeff Agers to Troy Dad to Ronnie Eklund to Richard Mulrooney. I mean, people my age. You call me grandfather just earlier, so I'm 59. I'm not that old yet. But,
I get it as well, Frank. I get it
I
too.
got you. You look good. You still got the mohawk going on.
Say again?
You still got the mohawk going on.
Yeah, I still got it going on. Yeah. I still
it.
do. I still work out. I still juggle the ball, and I still get out on the field. And I think it's
Good for
something
you.
that, just like yourself, mate, you keep that joy, the pleasure, the pride. It's part of your life. It's part of your spirit. It's exactly who we are as playing the game. And I mean, you started in England, so did I. We brought it over here, and you took it one way. I took it the media way, and it just is the most amazing acquirement to be in soccer professionally. Or
Yes.
as a fan, it's exactly the same, but it's part of who we are. It's absolutely a love story, is what it is.
Yeah.
And talking about another love story, when you left Canada back in the day, it would have been 2006, June 7th, 2006, you took on the LA Galaxy. Now, when I remember you taking that job, I thought to myself, wow, this is amazing. I'm going to add one little thing. I was talking to Alexei Lalas on Ultimate Soccer back in the day. This would have been early 2007 after you'd left, but you were still coaching Canada at the time. So you went from Canada to LA Galaxy. In between, I talked to Alexei Lalas and I said, Alexei, David Beckham is down in Real Madrid right now and he's losing time. Contract's not going to be renewed. What are you guys thinking about Beckham? Are you going to pick him up? I'm telling you straight, within a month, you guys signed him. I'm not saying I was the reason. Absolutely not. But you guys signed him a month after I talked with Alexei Lalas in LA, and I was absolutely thrilled that you did. How was that to coach David Beckham? How is he as a personality in the squad and in the locker room and on the field?
Yeah, good question. You should get a finder's fee for that.
There should be. There should be.
Exactly. No, I think they were talking obviously quite a bit before that. Tim Iwicki had a relationship with David, and Tim Iwicki's running the Galaxy at that time.
Right.
And I think they wanted to bring me on because being obviously British-based me, and David coming over from obviously England, excuse me, would be a fit. It was good. I mean, it was enjoyable. He was injured most of the time I had him. It wasn't easy for him because of it's just totally different. You're talking Real Madrid, man, all these top teams in Europe, and MLS was growing and trying to better themselves, but they weren't there yet. And that was the problem David had. The good thing is David got changed. He got things changed from flights, hotels, food. You can go on and on. Excuse me. He demanded a lot. And I think it changed the way we looked at it, or the clubs looked at that. But a voice from a player always then wakes up the owners to say, look, we need to make a difference. We need to put more money in. And they did. And if you look at it, David Beckham was the reason that MLS kept going. And to be honest, where it is today,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
I really do. He was the first superstar, 32 years old.
Yep.
To say, I'm going. And he did. And he played unbelievably well. Again, he was injured quite a bit for me, and I'd left in the offseason to take back over San Jose. But it was tough to. It was a bit of a circus, to be honest, with everything going on down there. It just wasn't for me either, for whatever reason. I don't like the limelight stuff. I just want to get on with coaching and winning football matches. And I think that once I got the chance to go back to San Jose, I jumped at it. But I had a good meeting with David and his wife before I left, and didn't say sorry, but I apologized because he thought I was going to be there for quite a bit. I saw him actually 2 or 3 years later when he went to Tottenham. I don't think he went on loan, but he went training at Tottenham. And we have affiliation a little bit with the Earthquakes with Tottenham, so I kept that going. And I met him again 2 years later, and we had a great chat, caught up with everything, and he appreciated sort of me bringing him there and helping him through the first time in the States. So that was very nice of him. He's a nice kid.
Absolutely. I remember when LA Galaxy came up to Edmonton to play the Whitecaps in a testimonial game. David did play that game. I was absolutely amazed that he would, after the press conference, sit down for half an hour and just have a chat with me off camera, off mic, just one-on-one. I was absolutely blown away how down to earth the guy is and how natural he is. You know, he was just a wonderful, natural person. Now, moving forward on that one, staying with the MLS slightly, I've said for a little while now, maybe the last 20 years actually, that I believe one day, the way the MLS is growing, I see it being possibly the World League in the future. Because you know yourself, in America, everything gets promoted beautifully and the money gets pushed into it. And what gets pushed in the engineering of a stadium or etc., it's always done perfectly. So would you think that MLS is still going to continue to grow in its stature and maybe one day possibly be the biggest league in the world?
Could do. Yeah, I think stadium-wise, definitely. All the new stadiums getting built, you know, Austin and trying to think some of the other new ones. But there was Seattle being one for crowds. Seattle getting like 45,000 average. So that's not an issue. I mean, obviously, it's the game is played around the world. There'll be other leagues saying, hey, we're pretty good too. Obviously, the Premier League, you know, Italy, Spain, all these countries. We can compete, though. I think that the league's going to grow, and it is. I think that each team I watch play now has got talent all over the field, rather than before it's like, you know, a couple of good strikers or a good midfielder and striker, and the rest of the team, I'm not so sure. Now it's like real quality all over because the budget's gone way higher. And then I think the DP, which David sort of got really going, David Beckham, you know, from getting a designated player that makes a difference, you couldn't get a better guy than him. So I think that's really elevated everybody's stature in every city that MLS is right now, that they can go and get a really superstar if they want to, and it's changed it. Yeah, whether it's going to be one of the top leagues in the world, I think it's going to compete. So that's the good news. If you're up there with them, then whoever's the best, it doesn't matter as long as you're doing that.
Frank, I tell you what, it's been a pleasure to talk to you again, my friend. It really has. I've got some amazing things that I'm going to touch on with you in the future. So if I can, I'm going to be talking to you again with your permission. And
no
I just want to thank you again, mate, because like I say, you treated me like first class from start to finish, all the way from the first time we met each other to this point in time. So I'm absolutely thankful from you, sir. And good luck on the rest of the season. And I would love to trip down there because I do fly around the world quite a bit. So I'd look forward to seeing you one day again.
Come visit me anytime. Thanks,
cheers,
Dave.
Frank. Thanks, sir.
Buddy. Thanks a lot.
Have a great day.
You too. Bye-bye now.
Bye.
Bye.